Good afternoon, everybody, and that's a really hard act to follow, so I'm not going to sing Waltzing Matilda. I'm delighted to be here today on behalf of the Sydney Lord Mayor, Clover Moore, to share with you the transformation of Sydney. In the next 10 minutes, I plan on providing you with an overview of Sustainable Sydney 2030, which is the city's strategic plan, provide you with a quick snapshot of the very many policies and strategies that are helping to bring the vision to life, and to outline how the city is transforming the heart of the city centre, with the light rail project being the catalyst for this transformation. The City of Sydney is small in geographic terms, covering just 26 square kilometres. It houses 200,000 residents, 450,000 workers and 6,000 daily visitors. However, the city has a much broader significance. What happens in the city affects the prosperity of metropolitan Sydney, New South Wales and Australia. At present, the city generates 8% of the Australian GDP. Sydney is now a major driver of the national economy, generating over $108 billion in revenue to the state and federal governments. It accounts for almost 1/14 of Australia's total economy and almost a quarter of the entire state of New South Wales. Sydney is the cradle of job growth in the finance, creative tech, startup and business service sectors, as well as a major tourist and business destination. Sydney is Australia's global city, and we must ensure its survival to remain so. In 2006, Sydney's Lord Mayor began a strategic planning process to ensure Sydney's survival as a global city. With an eye to the harbour, the maverick city had struggled over the last 70 years to maintain a quality public domain in a tug-of-war between the car and the need for space for people in a growing CBD. To commence this strategic planning process, we engaged Jan Gehl, Danish architect and expert of the quality of cities, to undertake one of his important public space and life studies. Jan's study confirmed much of what we already knew of our city centre, that the quality of its public spaces was not commensurate with the kind of global city we needed to be. With 1.2 million people entering our city centre daily and 75% arriving by public transport, the need to have a public domain of quality was critical to attracting and maintaining our role as a global gateway to the nation. Following the completion of the public space and life study, the Lord Mayor called for a new strategic plan. This would be the second plan for Sydney since the 1971 plan. The city's strategic vision, Sustainable Sydney 2030, was adopted in 2008 following 18 months of research and extensive consultation. It is our action plan to deal with climate change, traffic congestion, housing affordability and the livability and design of our city to 2030 and beyond. This document guides everything we do. Sustainable Sydney 2030 expresses the community's vision for a city that is economically prosperous, leads in environmental management, is livable, inclusive and culturally alive, a green, global and connected city. Green, both environmentally and literally green, global in its outlook and connected both physically and socially. Sustainable Sydney has 10 strategic directions, 10 targets and 10 project ideas. Sustainable Sydney can be described as 5 big moves. The first move is a revitalised city centre at the heart of global Sydney. This recognises that the city centre is the heart of our global economy, putting Sydney in the top 30 in the world and in the top 10 in the Asia-Pacific region. But if we want to stay this way or improve, we need to revitalise the centre, create spaces for growth and jobs, and improve quality of life for the people who live and work here. The second big move, activity hubs, as a focus for the city's villages, communities and transport, recognises that to have a resilient economy and community, the hubs around which people love must also be supported. They must provide local jobs and provide for goods and services people need so that as little daily travel as possible is required. The third move is an integrated inner Sydney transport network. Once people are in the city, we need to ensure that they can move around quickly and with ease. The fourth big move is a livable green network. Our target is that all people will be within 250 metres of the livable green network, which is a network of pleasant, safe pedestrian and cycle paths that can take you around, across and through the entire city centre. The final of the 5 big moves is transformative and sustainable renewal. This move recognises that urban renewal areas must be environmental exemplars. They must reconnect the city, contributing to the green network and public transport, but they will also need to be carbon neutral or even carbon positive if we are going to achieve our targets. The city's commitment to delivering sustainable Sydney has required the development of a more detailed roadmap, a series of policies, master plans, strategies and action plans that guide all we do. These ensure that we deliver an integrated, coherent and cohesive program of work. Key elements of our roadmap for a green city include the Greening Sydney Plan, the Urban Forest Strategy, the Decentralised Energy Master Plan, the Climate Change Adaptation Plan, City Switch, and the Residential Apartment Sector Sustainability Strategy. Key elements of our roadmap for a global city include the Fine Grain, which is revitalising Sydney's laneways. Here's an image of Angel Place. Open Sydney, which supports the development of Sydney's nighttime economy, including small bars. The Economic Development Strategy, the Retail Action Plan, the Tourism Action Plan, and the Creative Plan, and the Live Music and Performance Action Plan. Key elements of our roadmap for a connected city include Connecting Our City, which is the city's transport strategy, the Cycle Strategy and Action Plan, As a city, we understand the importance of strong and consistent leadership, good governance, collaborative partners, and the trust and engagement of the community. That's why everyone in our community had the opportunity to share our vision, and in doing so, developed a shared understanding of what the future of the city would look like, whether they were members of the community, businesses, residents, or others with an interest in the city. The engagement and consultation program for Sustainable Sydney was the most extensive in the city's history and was based on the question, what sort of city do we want to be in 2030? Developing the vision and strategic plan in this way with the community allows us to continue to act for them, to protect their interests as we make decisions about what will and won't happen in the city. The city talked to a full spectrum of interested groups and individuals, including school children, young people, business leaders, educators, community activists, residents, small businesses, councillors, church and social groups. More than 12,000 people were directly consulted at more than 30 community forums. A further 4,000 were directly consulted through our city talks, and 2,000 gave comments at the 2030 Future Phone at public events, school and educational institutions. Comprehensive media coverage of Sustainable Sydney 2030 also touched hundreds of thousands of people, including branding through bus shelter advertising and banners, together with magazine and internet advertising. One of the city's engagement principles is to develop sustained collaboration, partnerships and new ways to involve and empower the community to achieve Sustainable Sydney. This principle underpins an organisation-wide framework to ensure consistent quality engagement across multiple projects in the implementation of Sustainable Sydney. Community engagement for allied projects is delivered through multiple channels, including traditional face-to-face, community events, pop-up information stalls, workshops, door knocking, major leadership events on key projects via our City Talks and Conversations program, citizen juries, surveys and a dedicated online consultation hub, sydneyyoursay.com.au. Our community engagement processes are well received by the community and are well regarded by industry. The engagement to develop Sustainable Sydney was awarded the International Association of Public Participation Award. Our online engagement hub is often held up in literature as best practice example, and elements developed by the city have been adopted by many other government bodies. Our increasing use of deliberative approaches is also internationally recognised. This trust, commitment and long-term vision is also the basis for collaboration with partners. This shared vision for the city is exemplified in the Building Better Partnership, a collaboration between the major landowners in the centre of Sydney who collectively own more than 50% of commercial floor space and have committed to realising the city's ambitious target of 70% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. The most significant CBD transformation project at present is the Sydney Light Rail project. This project is designed to cater for the growing population of Sydney over the next 20 years, where it is estimated that an extra 1.6 million people enter the city each day. Sydney Light Rail will be a 12-kilometre light rail system with 19 stops, taking 15 minutes from Circular Quay to Central. 67-metre long trams, each holding 450 people, will run every 4 minutes in the city centre. The light rail is expected to commence operations in 2018. Whilst the New South Wales State Government is delivering this infrastructure, it was the city's vision to ensure global competitiveness was enhanced by unlocking congestion in the city. The City of Sydney has contributed $220 million to the project and works closely with the New South Wales State Government in the delivery of this project. It has been a long-held vision of the city that the structure of the city centre would be a reshaped George Street, acting as a new boulevard which would host light rail. A light rail system along George Street connecting the city transport interchanges was advocated to the New South Wales Government in the city's transport strategy, Connecting Sydney. So why light rail? 6,000 buses enter our city centre daily, with approximately 1,000 in peak times. Until last year, many were on George Street. The cost of congestion within the city was estimated in 2015 to be $3.5 billion and at 2030 reaching $8 billion, clearly impacting on our productivity and ability to be globally competitive. We did not believe that it was possible for Sydney to stay competitive as a business centre without change. While the feasibility studies for light rail conducted by the city over the last 10 years did look at other routes, George Street was always favoured because of the city's long-term policy to limit driveways to buildings along George Street and its ability to connect to the east and west from Central. Once we had cemented the vision, we then set about to create a suite of strategies, projects and technical tools to shape this broader transformation process. In 2012 and 2013, the city developed a concept design for George Street to further expand on our 2030 vision and to show how the elements of light rail infrastructure might be implemented at a more detailed level. The George Street concept design outlines the city vision for public realm improvements that will go hand in hand with the state's infrastructure project. At the same time, we wanted to encourage property developers to think about how they could engage with the future George Street pedestrian environment. In response to this, the city developed a strategy called George Street 2020. The purpose of this study was to show the new 25,000 square metres of public space could be used and to ensure that new buildings were opening up to the street and creating uses that would activate the street into the day and night. Detailed studies of local access requirements and street infrastructure determined where opportunities for outdoor dining and activation could occur, inspiring private property owners to invest in contributing to the vision. The George Street concept design and George Street 2020 strategy have given clarity to the city's vision and also given clarity to the project and what our $220 million investment will deliver, transforming this to this. The benefits of the project are already evident in Sydney, with the city processing the highest volume of investment in the city's history in 2015 at $7.4 billion, $2.1 billion of which is located along the George Street corridor. In 2012, the city's local environmental plan, which contains the planning rules for development, came into effect. This came not long before the announcement of the light rail project. One of the key policy directions of this document was design excellence, where every approval must exhibit design excellence in architectural, environmental, landscape and urban design terms. On larger projects, design excellence requires design competitions to be held for all buildings over 55 metres in height in the city centre. The following few slides will show the number of private developments that are planned or under construction along the George Street corridor, which the light rail project has been the catalyst for. At Circular Quay, AMP's new headquarters for its 102,000 square metre tower with high environmental targets is a striking sustainable green design from an international design competition won by 3XN from Denmark. Strong interest in George Street is triggering major new proposals such as this by Lend-Lease for a new commercial tower which includes a new publicly dedicated and defined square in George Street with public cycle hub and hire facilities and a tech startup facility that will be gifted back to the city. And this innovative design at 200 George Street was won by FJMT through our design excellence competition process. In addition to the significant investment that private investors and developers are making to the transformation, the overall transformation process will also include a series of public space upgrades. It has opened up the door to realise the long-term vision spanning many City Council administrators to build a proper town square in the heart of the city outside the Sydney Town Hall. Public art will also be integral to our transformation process by ensuring Sydney spaces will be distinctive and local culture and history can be evident. Over the next 10 years, the City will be investing over $8 million in public artworks to breathe new life into the city streets and spaces. One such example is Cloud Art, which is a 55-metre high sculpture by Japanese artists which is intended to be installed in Sydney Square prior to the light rail opening. Public space upgrades and laneway revitalisations are also examples of the city transformation process currently underway and which will continue post the light rail. The public space transformation, which is shaped through a series of technical codes and design documents, ensures we create a connected and coherent public domain across the city. A $9 million new wayfinding signage system will ensure all people can get around the city. And new public domain furniture will give a new identity to our city streets and spaces, all aimed at improving the walkability of our city. So hopefully today I've been able to demonstrate the importance of developing a vision in partnership with all the sectors of the community and then implementing that vision. It is our strong belief that with all this aligning, we can get it right and deliver the transformation that Sydney needs. Thank you.